Ever since a level crossing accident claimed the life of his sister Louise in 1993, cricket legend Chris Cairns has campaigned for increased rail safety.
He's here with one of the unseen victims of rail accidents, train driver Ray Loper, who's witnessed 5 fatalities. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Chris, welcome back.
Thanks, Chris.
Now, you've been away for a year now. You're back for this week. What are you actually looking at doing this week in terms of you know, with the fatalities, with train crashes and everything?
Well, the thing is, mate, excuse me, we've got it's Rail Safety Awareness Week, and it's an initiative that's been taken on by Australasia, actually. So the Australians are on board, we're involved, and we're just highlighting. So we have a specific week in the calendar year which we say, right, now's the time to promote rail safety and to make people aware of their decisions, and to know that the rail network is an environment that can kill.
Well, last year you were on the show, you did the walk from Auckland all the way down to the South Island. The statistics over the last year have been pretty bad, especially this year, really up there, 15, 16 accidents already. Does that, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, disappointed. It's back when we started 2006, we had around about 35, 40 incidents per year, and subsequently we managed to halve that straight away. So that could have been a blip, but the more promotion we've done, we've kept it down. But for some reason, it's just gone back up again, and it just shows that, you know, the message has to keep being put out there, and that's something that, you know, we're doing, we're trying to do, and getting support from media and from other environments to get the message out there.
And Ray, of course, you're someone who has unfortunately witnessed a number of these accidents, and every day you see near misses. What do you think the biggest problem is out there?
Oh, they're just people being stupid, basically. They're not. They're coming up to rail crossings, and because they're in a hurry to go to where they want to go, they're not looking and just straight across.
We're trying to get the public to understand that the rail corridor, or a level crossing itself, is treated no differently than a traffic intersection. So it's fundamentally the same principle, but for some reason, you know, people rely on information about bells, barrier arms, flashing lights, etc. But at the end of the day, there's no choice. You wait for the train to go through, or you actually stop, and as I said, just treat it the same as a traffic intersection.
And they're not all, they don't all have flashing lights and barrier arms, do they? Especially in the rural areas.
No, they have compulsory stops, which means stop, stop and look. But a lot of people don't. They just keep going.
So is the primary problem vehicles that you see in terms of near misses? What about people? Do you see
trespassers too? Yeah, people. Yeah. Just about every day you see someone trespassing on the railway line somewhere.
And what, just jumping out of the way of the train, or?
Yeah, or just walking across, taking a shortcut, basically. Yeah.
Ray, how was it for you, and when was the first fatality that you were involved with?
My first one was about 1994, about a week before Christmas. A car came out of a private driveway in front of me, and I hit it between the driver's door and the rear passenger's door. There was 4 people in the car, and I still remember to this day that guy sitting in the back seat. That was the last thing he saw, was me coming towards him. Yeah, and it was sheer carnage.
So what happens in that situation? Obviously, it's quite hard to stop a train once it's moving along. But for you, what's the process after that? You've hit somebody, you've hit a car. What happens next?
Well, I was doing about 90 kilometres an hour, so there's obviously no show stopping there. So then you press the emergency button on the radio to get train control to alert the emergency services, and then comes the hard part. You've got to walk back to see what you do.
How far up the track? You're almost 500
probably about 500 to 800 metres before you can stop. Yeah.
And is the car, I mean, in that situation, is the car just split in two?
The car was just pushed to one side, and I believe one person died instantly, the other one died a few days later.
How do you deal with a situation like that? Where does the support come in? I mean, this has happened like 5 times with 5 different people with you, and you're still driving trains. Where does the support come from?
You get a lot of support from your family and workmates. Your workmates are excellent, I've got to say, and the company now provides a good backup counselling service, which is good too. But at the end of the day, I find it's better with the family and fellow workmates to talk me through it.
So these guys are just everyday Kiwi blokes who love their job and do what they do, and it's once we've sort of begun to highlight their plight, it's been interesting how that's resonated with the public as well, because you sort of view a train as a big piece of steel that sort of barrels down the rail track. But ultimately, there's a human being inside there who has to go back and deal with these situations, and that nobody should have to be exposed to.
Did you get to meet the driver of the train?
Yeah, Graham Wilson.
You did?
Excuse me.
How was that for you, meeting that driver?
No, he's just a good human being, and on that train that day, he was the driver where, out of no fault of his own, or because of the young ladies who were killed on the carriage itself, and it was his birthday. And so every year, on his birthday, he goes to the 3 graves of the girls who were killed on that train. And so these guys take it very, very personally, and yet it's actually, they have no say in it at all.
Because Ray, you have actually met some of the families, haven't you?
No,
Oh, you haven't?
No.
So
it was recommended to me that I not do that. So
it's because, you see, in Louise's case, which is slightly different, the girls were on board the train itself, and so that was a very different scenario than the people who come into contact with the train. So it's something which we're trying to promote, is that in the media as well, you see these headlines of train hits car. That's never the scenario. The car hits the train, and so it's a social acceptance of and changing of attitude towards this particular thing.
It's interesting with the statistics, though, that they say a lot of the accidents are happening either in the deep south and in the South Island. A lot of the accidents are happening down there. Why do you think there's so much more happening down there?
Well, there's a big part of the rail network. So, like, over 40% of the rail network is sort of Canterbury South. So statistically, there's the potential for a lot more to happen, but that doesn't mean that that's acceptable. But, there's, with the level crossings themselves, there's about 1,400 level crossings throughout New Zealand, and then there's another 1,000 private level crossings as well. So we have about 2,500 crossings in New Zealand. Very small percentage are barriered. Costs about 250 grand to put in a set of barrier arms. So it's, economics plays a part, and that's why the best thing we can do is to educate, get out there, promote it in schools, through the media, through Rail Safety Week, and to get people to understand their responsibility.
And I think, I think a really important thing, wouldn't you agree, Ray, is to make people realise that trains cannot stop.
Yeah, don't play Russian roulette at the lights.
Exactly, You can't stop, can't swerve either. And it takes a long time to stop after you hit someone or something.
All right. Well, look, Ray, it's really brave of you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I know it must be really hard for you to talk about it, but we really appreciate it. And we're glad that you're still out there driving, because it's such a beautiful country to drive through. And Chris, thanks also for coming back to New Zealand. And we didn't even get to talk about your fabulous new career, but next time, and for a link to rail safety, you can, of course, go to our website.